Until, after surviving Afghanistan, he died at his own front door.
She hears a knock at the door.
The next thing she hears are gunshots.
It looked like it was personal. It was an execution.
Was it also a betrayal?
They find hundreds of text messages. They found new pictures. This was more than just a fling.
But does it add up to murder?
It ain't against the law to cheat.
Or is the obvious suspect not always the right one?
They are gloating about their crime.
They consider themselves Bonnie and Clyde.
Talk about a plot twist.
This man lost his life because of that.
April 7th, 2021. It's late Wednesday night in Newport News, Virginia, a hard-working port city just across the James River from Norfolk, home to the U.S. Navy's Atlantic Fleet.
Newport News is pretty much a military town because you got one of the biggest naval bases on the East Coast right here. You also got a couple surrounding Army bases as well.
You have a lot of active and retired military in and around Newport News.
And at 2 o'clock that April morning, the wife of one former serviceman makes a frantic call to 911.
911, what is your emergency?
Something's happened to my husband.
Okay, calm down. What is your name?
The caller is 36-year-old Danielle Shabazz.
Danielle told the operator that she and her children were away from the house that night.
But she'd called her husband, 39-year-old Sal Shabazz, to say goodnight.
Hey, baby, how's it going?
Hey.
Danielle and her husband were on the phone talking, and all of a sudden, she hears a knock at the door.
Hold on, somebody's at the door.
Who?
He went to see who it was.
So, can I help you?
She hears her husband talking to whoever is at the door.
What are you talking about, man?
The next thing she hears are a series of bangs.
I'm only worried about it.
Sal.
Sal. I don't know. I think it was gunshots.
Then the phone goes silent.
He won't answer me.
Your mind would just run the gamut of possibilities. Your mind just starts spinning.
She was completely terrified that something had happened to him.
Please send somebody to the house.
Sal Shabazz grew up in South Bend, Indiana, as one of 12 siblings.
His mother had 6 children, and then she adopted 6 more.
I couldn't do it without God. He called me to be the mother of these children, and he equipped me to do so, to parent them.
The fact that half his siblings were adopted wasn't all that set Sal's family apart.
He grew up with his mom being Christian, his father being of the Islam faith.
His full name is Saladin Ibn Shabazz. Saladin is an Arab name.
He was named from a historical sultan from Egypt and Syria who fought the Crusaders in the Holy Land.
From an early age, Sal lived up to his heroic name.
He was a star athlete when he was in high school.
He played varsity football from the day he walked into high school all the way through. He's broke all kind of records that have yet today to be broken.
He was very popular.
Sal Shabazz is that all-American kind of dude.
After finishing high school, Sal continued his success in college.
Sal played football for Grand Valley State and then transferred to Minnesota State.
However, he didn't graduate. Instead, his life careened in a different direction.
While he was in college, Sal's on-again, off-again, long-term girlfriend, Danielle Holland, got pregnant.
Sal and Danielle had known one another since they were kids.
With the impending birth of their daughter, Sal and Danielle decided to make their relationship official.
They got married in 2007. They got married at the courthouse on New Year's Eve. It was like a quick wedding.
And Sal chose a different path for his life to support his family.
Sal enlisted in the Army.
He came to me one day and said, "Mom, I want a way to provide for my family, so I'm gonna go to the service."
Although it wasn't without risks.
Sal was immediately deployed to the Middle East to do a full tour in Afghanistan.
And the disruptions didn't end once Sal came home from overseas.
Once Sal returned from his deployment, he was stationed in Newport News, Virginia. So Danielle packed up with her husband and they moved 800 miles away from Indiana to the Chesapeake Bay.
Together, they built a new life in Virginia.
Sal and Danielle had 4 daughters.
Danielle was working at the post office as a mail carrier, and once Sal got discharged from the military, he got a job as a forklift operator.
A decade after Sal first shipped off to Afghanistan, he and Danielle had beaten the odds.
A lot of military couples don't last after the spouse is away for such a long time. Sal and Danielle were the exception. It was almost like they were meant for each other.
He was a good husband, awesome dad. He always was a provider.
They had a bright future ahead of them.
Only now, Danielle fears something terrible has happened to her husband.
Sal's wife has called Newport News police after hearing what she believes to be gunshots. They had been talking on the phone when she heard the bangs.
He won't answer me.
And at that point, 911 dispatches the police to the house to investigate.
When officers arrive, they see nothing alarming. At first,
the front door is closed. There's no sign of a gunman.
There are no signs of forced entry.
Sheriff's office.
Not taking any chances, the police carefully make entry into the Shabazz home.
Inside, they find a horrific scene.
The first thing they see is Sal Shabazz lying on the floor.
He's laying in a pool of blood.
He had been shot 4 times.
Hard-working forklift driver and Army veteran Sal Shabazz was as all-American as they come.
Sal was a very nice guy, a cool person, easy to get along with.
He had integrity, he was kind, he was honest.
And he was raising 4 children with the love of his life, his wife, Danielle.
She was someone that he felt that he could build something with, build a life with, build a family with.
But now, police are at Sal and Danielle's home in response to a desperate 911 call.
Danielle, she's on the phone with her husband, and he hears a knock at the door, and the next thing she hears are these bangs.
Sal. Sal.
She knows in her gut something's wrong.
When police enter the home, they discover that Danielle was right to fear the worst.
Sal's lying on the floor in a pool of blood.
He was bleeding from multiple gunshot wounds.
He was pronounced dead at the scene.
When homicide detectives arrive, they start their investigation by examining Sal's body.
He's been shot 2 times in the torso, twice in the head, execution style.
Near the body, homicide detectives find 4 shell casings lying on the floor.
They then took those casings and sent them off to ballistics to be tested.
Ballistics could eventually lead detectives to the murder weapon, but there's little at the scene to suggest the killer's motive.
A thorough search of the home shows that there was nothing disturbed, which ruled out the potential for robbery.
This was deliberate, This was intentional.
The question was, why target Sal?
Looking for answers, the detectives canvassed the neighborhood.
Officers talked to neighbors and asked them if they had any information.
None of the neighbors reported seeing anything suspicious.
Everybody was asleep at the time of the crime.
But the canvas could still provide some crucial information.
How you doing?
Hey,
The neighbor across the street had a doorbell camera.
Doorbells have been used in cases across the country.